They went to the library to get me 2 copies of my amendment. Okay, so just for today, if you would kindly get your books out again. We may use them within now, but I just want you to have them. The girls went upstairs to pass out a copy of the amendment.
Gotcha.
You want to finish writing what?
Sure. Write all those.
Oh, you're going right now? Take your time to do that. We're just going to pass through the Constitution a little bit.
Sure.
Its articles, its amendments.
Anybody else, Ms. Daz, you and me? Well, thank you, Mr. Zask.
The two-party system and the preamble. Hi, Huss. Hey, Max. Huss, can you take one of these for me? They're good.
Thanks.
Oh, that was, I do believe, 158. Not so don't worry. I'll let you poke around in that in class or during that support. Be something good for you to do. Yeah. Well, that's okay. So we'll move on with this today, and I'll get that done. Everybody back here, I'm just waiting for the 2 girls with my copies, but they should be right back. In the meantime, we're going to take a look again at the preamble. We're going to fill in some of the blanks. We're going to go through some articles and the Constitution. Yeah, we have to know where the legislative branch is in the Constitution. We have to know where it all is in there. Oh, that's all right.
What
I love it. Come on.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, no, we have some of them. Then you have to pass them out. That'd be nice of you to do.
Thank you, ladies.
Thanks, and I get it for sending someone to the library to do my job.
You had an assistant working salt?
Yeah. I could have asked Mr. Ringland.
Sure.
Annie. No, Annie. Hi, Courtney. Tiffany. She went to the library. No, I'm right here. I know. Lucas is here. Max is here. Are you sleeping? Hi.
Hey,
Max is awake. Zach is here. Leanne is here.
provide them an education.
Troy is here. Yes, he will soak it up. Yes.
There you go.
I'm very happy to see you. Yes. She's quietly here. Ashley.
Work's done.
Hi. Okay. Well, I couldn't put this on the board because I didn't want to bother Mr. Ringland for this. And I thought writing on
I'll
the
even
board,
stay away from it so it'll work.
writing on the board in an old-fashioned way with a marker is fine with me. I almost got the overhead projector out, which I think I'm on.
That's kicking it old school right there.
That's kicking it good school that works, because this is driving me crazy. I couldn't get it to work.
Mr. Ringland broke it.
No, I don't think it's.
That's why I'm in the back of the room, guys. I don't get near that
No,
stuff.
no.
Weird humming sound, listen.
The first thing I want to do today is I want to introduce you to the parts of the Constitution. We're not going to get too deep, but I want you to know the parts of the Constitution that exist and what they are. If, I'm going to have you guys come up and write, but I want you to look on page 163. Plus in your Constitution book here, this is all the legal jumbo, and it's kind of explained. It's our pizza.
Yes.
If it's a pizza, can I join
Pay
you?
for it. Oh, Commissioner said.
No, it was Shanara's week last week. It's Troy's week this week.
Yes, Troy, wake up.
Mrs. Zimidowski's room.
Article 1.
I am fantastic. He is. I sure will.
Article 1 lets us
Very
know
good.
about
Bye-bye.
the legislative branch, and we've talked all about this. Now I'm just putting in perspective where it is in the Constitution. Article 1 informs us of the legislative branch. It explains what the legislature is, what it can and cannot do, and it also puts some limit on state government. So we talked about all the three branches. I gave you lists about what each one does, and now I'm telling you where it is in the Constitution. Article 1 is the legislative branch.
So I have to write that down.
You may. If you have the notes from before, you can put it on those notes that I gave you.
Nice.
We can put it right on the front of this packet, right?
Yes, you may. Or you can, since it's all kind of legally and legalese inside your book, you could just put, it tells us what the legislative branch does, what it can do, what it can and cannot do.
You want us to write this down?
Well, I think so. I know I gave you a couple of sheets on this that separate it out, but I just want to show you where it is in the Constitution. Just to give you a little, as Mr. Ringland put it, a little crawl through the Constitution so that we know of where this stuff is coming from. Right, Lucas? Cool. I'm sorry. Whenever somebody's like this, it's an automatic.
Oh no.
Right.
Twiddling my thumbs.
You're just twiddling his thumbs. He does not have the phone. Thank you. Okay. All right, guys. So, Section 1 under Article 1 is Congress. Again, don't have to write this. I have a sheet for you, and it's all right in front of you. Under Section 1. If you can see that it gives all legislative powers herein or granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a what and a what? What does Congress consist of? Bicameral legislature. Who are they?
Senate, House of Reps.
Thank you.
Very good.
House of Representatives, and we went over yesterday how each one, but Mr. Ringland tends to come next period and check on the spellings.
Was anybody supposed to get a book?
Yes, and I did not give you one. Why?
I don't know.
Now I know why Mrs. Mirren misspells things, talking and writing at the same time. Here, honey, I have one for you right here. Those of you that don't take BOCES and will have Mrs. Mirren for government next year, she will go through this word by word, every amendment and every article. Look at them all.
Oh, woo.
And our BOCES.
Let's hear it for most of you. Okay, take it, sign up now.
Section 2 is the House of Representatives. Do you see that? Are you following me? Okay. Your Section 2, right up there is the House of Representatives.
Maybe a little bit more.
Okay? Representatives, we talked about yesterday the representatives being chosen every 2 years by the voters. People who are allowed to vote for state legislators are also qualified to vote for the representatives in Congress. So who can be a representative? We talked about that yesterday. Did you get that part with the other class with the last? A representative has some qualifications. They must be 25 years old, must be a citizen for at least 7 years, and live in the state which he or she is chosen. Why do you think they have to be an American citizen to be a representative?
So they can trust me.
Yes.
Can't get too much power.
10 years ago, we had the same question.
Robert was so far ahead of his time.
10 years ago, I had a student say, how would we know if a terrorist secretly ran for the President of the United States? And Mr. England and I were like, bad jokes.
No way that could ever happen.
What?
To be honest.
What, Zach? It's
That was
not
a
a
great
bad question.
question.
Unfortunately, it was 12 years ago he asked that, and so,
It was a little different world then.
yes, it was a little different. We thought, no way.
now.
Well, it was post 9/11, because we were in this building. So.
Right.
Yeah,
Do you know that, how long is it, 7 years you have to live in a state?
yeah.
Do
To be
you know
representative.
that New York had a senator
he's gonna
at
say.
first that was from Arkansas, but somehow had property in Chappaqua, New York. So she was able to run.
Was it her?
And it just happened to be Mrs. Bill Clinton, a.k.a. Hillary. Now, she'd never really hung out in Chappaqua before, but evidently they've had property there for at least 7 years, allowing her to run. So I ask you, do you think that just because you own property somewhere means you live there?
No.
And
Evidently,
represent its
for a
people?
Senate run, it's okay.
And it did.
Because she became a New York senator on her way to Secretary of State.
She did.
Oh, crap. That reminds me, she was in Hamilton, New York last week.
Yes, she was. She was at
Why didn't
Colgate.
you go?
My sign wouldn't fit in the car.
You go?
There was a load of cops up there, so we went down the back roads and
Oh, yes,
grandparents.
probably security and stuff like that.
You
Yes,
know, mainly
I know.
state-
My employee could not get home. She
She
lives in Sherburne, Oakville.
Yes. This is,
That's where my
I
grandparents
believe
were.
that. All right, let's go through a couple more parts and then we're gonna hit the preamble. The preamble to the Constitution. We're gonna hit that with a little word bank to get you up here, and so we'll get some more vocabulary in the end. When I was in 5th grade, I had to memorize this.
Ah, crap.
What was this
And
song?
recite it.
Yes, we did. Yes, we did. Do you remember?
I do. I wanted a powdered wig, but the teacher looked at me funny.
No,
So I said, never mind.
no way, forget it. Dennis, honey, do you want something? You may go to the nurse's office, sweetie. Here's the
I will sign her passport.
Do you have one?
I'm all over it.
Thank you. Where have you been? Did you?
I sent it to Mr. Ripa.
Oh, okay.
Because for whom the
He's
bell
awake.
tolls, yes.
Fine for 4 minutes.
We missed you that time, Max.
Sorry, Max, I didn't know you were gone. Okay, guys, we are now talking about representatives in the state and how the number of representatives for each House of Congress, I erased that, are chosen. The big fight we talked about yesterday, the great compromise between the big states and the little states. We had a great compromise. Or you can pull out my sheet. Okay. The number of representatives a state has to represent people in the state is based on the number of people in the state. And to count them, a census is taken. Do you know what a census is?
Yeah, so if you did work, say how many people live in the home.
That's right. They ask you a lot more questions now, don't they, Mr. Ringland?
Yes. Well, actually, there's 2 forms. The last census had the short form,
Mm-hmm.
but they also had a long form that was illegal.
You had the illegal one,
Yeah.
the long one.
And I refused to do parts of it. They asked household questions, income questions, commute questions, and I said, no, thank you.
He
That is
said no,
not
thank you.
census.
Yes, dear.
It is updated.
Weren't those 2 terrorist boys that did the
Been like us.
Boston bombing here for like 7 years or something like that?
I think they were citizens. They became citizens, yes. Yes, they did. Moving on to the Senate. And let's see, that is your section 3. The Senate is made up of 2 senators from each state, and they serve 6-year terms. 2 from each state. You can write this in your book if you want. And they serve 6-year terms. Anywhere you want to write in the margins, it will help the margins, it will help you with this. Okay, senator must be 30 years old and been a United States citizen for 9 years. Okay? And 9 years a citizen. Still wonder why they aren't like just full-blood American citizens.
I know.
9 years.
There are no true full-blood Americans.
Oh, that's a good question.
Al.
Let's get that. That's a good question.
Actually, there are
What
some.
is an American
Right,
citizen?
that's a
Mr.
great
Rickman
question,
and I
actually.
have asked kids
Yep.
this for years. What makes you an American
What makes you
citizen?
American?